Welcome to Cognify.
Ever feel like the internet is getting stranger by the day? It's not just in your head.
My mother put me in the microwave, then let it run for 2 minutes.
Or in your algorithm.
It was deliberately heated by my mother.
Digital spaces are increasingly embracing bizarre trends and absurd content. But how did we get here? As algorithms take over, driven by our innate curiosity, have we expanded our acceptance of the weird, pushing the fringes into the mainstream? Today we'll delve into how perceptions of weird have changed since the internet hijacked our collective brain. To grasp just how far the Overton window has shifted, let's rewind to a time when a reluctance to make eye contact during interviews or a bit too much eyeliner gave you that air of being different. In the early 2000s, celebrities were elusive figures. Our insight into their lives was confined to magazine features and paparazzi shots. While celebrities of that time don't offer the most diverse data set, they do provide some really important context. Back then, stars like Kristen Stewart were portrayed under an all-American girl heteronormative type of lens. Her and Robert Pattinson's relationship was described as twisted and obsessive.
It had to be recut because you went crazy or something. You went, didn't you just kind of go into like, you lost it? Yeah, no, I didn't.
During this time when a handful of publications had monopoly over the media, there was a level of front-stage image control that we don't see today. Celebrities who deviated in behaviour, dress, interests, displayed neurodivergent traits, or openly faced mental health challenges were often labelled as outsiders. And so weird or unconventional aspects of celebrity personalities rarely emerged without intense scrutiny. This might explain why historical accounts of celebrities like Angelina Jolie, Kristen Stewart, or Winona Ryder labelling them as non-conforming or freakish now seem remarkably out of touch.
Their experiences also highlight the influence of racial dynamics on who gets to successfully perform non-conformity in the public eye.
But the era of the elusive, media-trained celebrity is mostly over. Now they can go on Instagram Live.
You, y'all suck.
I'm not your friend.
Only people allowed on this live chat are rec stars and bad bitches. So if you're a pervert, get the fuck.
This shift from a traditional media-driven narrative to one of online self-determination changed everything. Unlike the celebrities that came out of the Mickey Mouse Club in 2002, Doja Cat's personality was not groomed over time in order to ensure that she was palpable to mainstream audiences. The internet provides a direct line to fans and followers, allowing for a more nuanced understanding and appreciation of individuality. Beauty and fashion aesthetics started to favour artistic expression and creativity over conventional sex appeal. We see this with trends like overt uglification and cyborgianism.
This evolution of radical self-expression, and perhaps more notably identity curation, was no longer the exclusive domain of celebrities. Ordinary people now had platforms, control over their public image, and the ability to cultivate an audience. This gave rise to influencer culture and accelerated consumerism in many ways.
So we're not just witnessing a transformation in how identities are formed and expressed, but also in how they are consumed and commodified. And so a new generation emerged, viewing their self-expression not just as a statement, but as an opportunity for income. Self-branding became so normalised in our culture that personal improvement and transformation is often referred to as a personal rebrand.
How to rebrand yourself like Sophia Richie's.
Standing out today is no longer just about what you wear or own. It's intimately linked to how you present all aspects of the self to the external world.
Just be conscious of who you surround yourself with and where you hang out. So
the term itself embeds the idea that our identities and personal growth are governed by market dynamics.
I wanted to make that more part of my brand, that sort of healthy, active lifestyle.
Implicitly imposing capitalist ideals.
This is how to get ahead of everybody you know.
It's bizarre when you think that it wasn't long ago that the concept of a personality-driven economy was confined to showbiz. You had the Jim Carreys of the world landing roles for being uniquely wacky. Today, the scrutiny over which aspects of one's identity can be marketed is far more pervasive across culture. The challenge then becomes not just to be seen, but to sell the most valuable version of ourselves, turning personal quirks into professional capital. In our exploration of media, self-branding and influencer culture, we've unpacked some of what underpins online dynamics from a consumerist and mainstream perspective, but none of it has been particularly weird. It's time to get to the heart of the weird. From its earliest days, the internet acted as a petri dish, cultivating weirdos like you and I.
The website Tumblr, for instance, was a prime place for people to find representation and belonging in niche communities.
People shared their innermost thoughts and art, crafting personas far removed from their public selves.
It provided a safe space for passions and interests that fell out of the mainstream and were often subject to ridicule.
But in the last 10 years there has been a shift, whereby vulnerable forms of self-expression are no longer limited to the anonymous parameters of Tumblr or other fringe sites.
The account Media Platform 001 claims that Tumblr's not safe for work ban put the final nail in its coffin and paved the way for the rise of Instagram blog culture. He suggests that pages like his are a modern reincarnation of what Tumblr might still offer today. And there's probably truth in that. After all, Instagram has evolved from Sierra filtered latte art to hosting some of the most outrageous content. The platform has adapted to the demand for multiple layers of identity. Pseudonyms now manifest as finstas or meme pages, letting users differentiate between their genuine and alternate profiles on a site that's designed to showcase the self. This evolution has led to a shift toward more abstract forms of sharing, such as casual posting and vague posting. This is when people share more flippantly, with less thought, or in a self-led way, without much consideration about whether the audience will understand the post or not. The move toward occupying a more enigmatic online persona has led to new kinds of social prestige and identity markers.
That weird girl is going to save your life. Do not throw this shit away.
Then that's gonna really keep you up on the late night. It's fumbling the weird girl, bro.
If we look at Grimes circa 2012, she started out in a microcosm of the online world, cultivating a small fan base that felt connected to her art. As her popularity grew, she stayed true to her distinct style and persona. This eventually led to this form of individuality to break through to the mainstream. Having an elusive or unique online identity was no longer a bad thing. Gamers, nerds, weird girls weren't just a bullied archetype on screen. They were now Twitch stars, YouTubers, young entrepreneurs, and successful musicians. This shift has resulted in a democratisation of creativity and self-expression that, while always inherent in art, has now become universally accessible. So we've followed the evolution of eccentricity from cultural rejection to mainstream acceptance. But what is it that's turning it into something valuable?
Well, in a world where influence is driven by likes and views, weird content for the most part is more engaging. Take for instance the Willy Wonka Glasgow experience that recently proliferated online. The unusual, somewhat eerie, liminal nature of the event turned it into a global spectacle. And while the sentiment wasn't exactly positive, I don't think their budget quite accounted for an extremely viral level of online exposure. The saturation of content online has rendered the once aspirational, polished personas and cookie-cutter aesthetics rather dull for many of us. Now it's all about the scroll-stopping nature of content, which is something that could be attributed to the novelty effect, a psychological principle suggesting that our brains are drawn to unfamiliar stimuli.
If our fascination with the weird stems from a desire for novelty, it's no surprise that the boundaries of expectation keep getting stretched. Whether that's Lil Nas X posting a video of himself performing a C-section on an orange, or Chappelle Roan showing up at the Grammys after party in a prosthetic pig nose. It's the unexpected that keeps us hooked.
Weirdness, unconventionality, individuality, eccentricity, all of which I've been using somewhat interchangeably throughout this video, can very much be distilled into authenticity because it represents the dissolution of the barrier between one's inner world and one's outer worlds, which invites a connection that a polished persona rarely can. The online space recognises this, and so naturally there has been a trend towards celebrating authenticity, which recently evolved into a celebration of the unhinged.
If you're seeing this video, it means that it's time. It's time to get a little bit more unhinged. It's time to take things up a notch. It's time to scare off the normies.
Because we all know a TikTok is only worth watching if the person is divulging how they don't have any boundaries with their ex, or how they ruined their whole life on a night out. Being unhinged not only boosts your watch time and engagement, but it earns you relatability brownie points, boosting your popularity across the platforms. And people are dishing out advice about what to say in social situations to give people the impression you're unhinged.
This one's probably the easiest to work into your daily life. Anything you love, you now eat, pray, love, kind of. So it's like, oh, I've been loving Pilates. No. You've been eat, pray, loving Pilates.
Thank you, it's a disorder when someone says they love my personality. One of the comments says, if only I could remember these when I'm talking. If you really want to be unhinged, Rebecca, just try being oblivious to social cues. We can't act surprised that all of this is happening in an online zeitgeist that is measured not by honesty and values, but by virality and engagement. And so people will tailor their online behaviour to meet the demands of the market.
Lewis Capaldi's online presence is so unfiltered that he'll receive comments like,
Dude, you totally forgot that he was a celebrity. I'm supposed to go and see you live in Oregon. Why are you farting on TikTok, man? Memes and shareable content have become one of the most potent ways to gain and maintain exposure. More and more celebrities have been capitalising on their weirdness and catapulting themselves to fame in this way. But while embracing weirdness and being authentic is generally positive, it's important to consider the flip side. Like, imagine being Lewis Capaldi and having your management tell you that you need to keep doing that really funny being yourself thing online. Can you make sure it's driving sufficient streams for the new single? And if we don't drive X amount of streams, then it's a flop. So now you're not just a musician. You're a one-man meme factory with the future of your career resting on your ability to go viral. Eccentricity has become an attribute which, like beauty or sex appeal, is very much identified, measured, strategized, and delivered in tandem with a product in order to generate profits. While on one hand, its celebration can empower individuals to embrace their true selves. On the other hand, the authenticity of these expressions risks becoming exhausted and performative.
like when neurodivergent forms of self-expression are imitated for social clout, or to fit into a perceived niche of quirkiness.
You want to go viral? Are you sure? Will you do anything to go viral? You will. Okay, think appropriation, but for Tourette's. This not only risks trivializing genuine neurodiverse experiences, but also fosters misunderstandings about living with these conditions. And so the line between genuine self-expression and curated monetizable persona blur. One Reddit commenter said,
"The weird girl is in when you're attractive, edgy. Present your weird hobbies, interests, traits in a palatable way. Say, display your skull collection, but don't tell people how you clean and boil it."
Society's embrace of individualism has made space for the unconventional to be seen and celebrated. But this inclusivity has its limits. You can be neurodivergent, but only in a way that we already understand. And you can be yourself as long as it's entertaining.
Cultural and societal biases play a role in shaping how eccentricity is perceived, determining who is celebrated and who is marginalised.
Through our discussions, we've arguably distorted the initial concept by introducing multiple interpretations of the same idea.
But the reality is that any attempt to view individuality through another's perspective can lead to a distortion of its essence.
In consumer culture theory, your identity is shaped through your cultural consumption, such as the books that you read and the films and shows that you watch.
So is it this act of consumption, filtered through your unique worldview, that makes you, you? While the expression of unconventional identities has become more accessible through clothing, aesthetics, etc., the diverse sources that contributes to the formation of these identities has been condensed into TikToks, carousel posts, sound bites, designed for easy distribution, assimilation, and imitation.
It's as though personality itself is a meme, deep-fried through consumption, yielding multiple iterations of the same thing.
Time spent online is certainly cannibalising other forms of entertainment.
And so we move closer towards this algorithmically determined expression of homogenized identity.
On the flip side, if we are self-directed in our endeavours, we have the opportunity to cultivate an extremely creative individual culture. And I don't mean that in a way where individuality is used to create separation or feed the ego. Rather, I'm referring to people bringing something really fun and interesting to the table that other people can benefit from. I think that this is already happening in many ways.
Like when you meet someone who makes music from plants as a hobby and they're just casually like, yeah, it's just something I stumbled across while exploring bioacoustic fields and diverse ecosystems. Overall, I think and hope that we're in the right direction of fostering a more human-centric culture.
One that more fluidly acknowledges the absurdity of existence and expresses it through art.
Helping us all to feel a little bit more connected in the process. And sure, isn't that just the point of it all anyway?